Let's go to check out what's happening in the world of business. Our business editor, Kate Moody, say hello, Kate. The US Central Bank is taking action to try and fight inflation.
The US Federal Reserve has raised its key interest rate by 0.75 of 1 percentage point for the third time in a row. That takes America's borrowing costs to their highest level in 14 years. It's a range of between 3 and 3.25%. America's central bank, like others around the world, has been trying to tighten monetary policy in an effort to curb soaring inflation. Higher interest rates tend to encourage consumers to save rather than spend. Inflation in the U.S. has pared back slightly from its recent 40-year highs, 8.3% in August. That is lower than the pace of price rises currently being seen in the UK, Eurozone and Germany, although higher than the 6.5% in France in August. Now, the latest forecast from the Fed projected just 0.2% GDP growth this year. That's down from 1.7% that was previously forecast. The Federal Reserve saying it was not done with interest rate hikes yet. It expects more before the end of this year as it tries to get inflation closer to its 2% target. The Fed said it expects inflation to settle at about 5.4% this year, dropping to 2.8% next. Now, higher interest rates affect things like credit card and mortgage payments, and Fed Chair Jerome Powell said that the bank is now facing a delicate balancing act.
My colleagues and I are acutely aware that high inflation imposes significant hardship as it erodes purchasing power, especially for those least able to meet the higher costs of essentials like food, housing, and transportation. We are highly attentive to the risks that high inflation poses to both sides of our mandate, and we are strongly committed to returning inflation to our 2% objective. Reducing inflation is likely to require a sustained period of below-trend growth, and there will very likely be some softening of labor market conditions. Restoring price stability is essential to set the stage for achieving maximum employment and stable prices over the longer run. We will keep at it until we're confident the job is done.
Just 2 months after France took over its biggest utility, EDF, the German government has confirmed it's taking a 99% stake in Uniper at a cost of €8.5 billion. Germany is Europe's biggest importer of Russian natural gas, and Unipur is the biggest buyer in Germany. Supplies have been squeezed as Russia halted deliveries through the Nord Stream 1 pipeline and left many European economies scrambling to secure their supplies ahead of the winter. Last week, Germany also took control of a Russian-owned oil refinery, which supplied 90% of the country's fuel. Uniper operates gas, coal, and hydro plants across Europe. It had previously been controlled by a Finnish state-owned energy company. Take a listen to the German economy minister speaking earlier.
Uniper has a 50% share of Russian gas in its portfolio and represents 40% of the German gas supply. With this, we considered urgent action was needed. After analysing the market and examining alternatives, we made the decision, as just outlined, to ensure security of supply for Germany.
Meanwhile, the British government has outlined more details of its energy aid plan, saying it will cap electricity and gas costs for businesses at less than half the market rate starting next month. 2 weeks ago, the government announced a similar freeze for household energy bills, but it was criticised for not giving enough support to industry. The business secretary said it was difficult to put a price tag on the latest package because it will be pegged to market prices, but that it would likely be tens of billions of euros on top of the €100 billion plan for consumers.
This is a fundamental increase in costs across the economy, and schools and hospitals and care homes are obviously going to be able to need to afford their energy in a year's time as well as today. But can businesses and public sector bodies afford the level of increase that there has been? Well, by and large, no, and that's why this scheme is being announced now.
Tunisia is also in the grips of a cost of living crisis. Supermarkets are reporting ongoing shortages, which have left many consumers and businesses struggling to cope. Our correspondents Lilia, Blaise and Fadil Aliriza report.
At Lutfi's farm in Mahdia on Tunisia's east coast, there are only 7 cows left from the 25 he owned 2 years ago. He's selling them off because he can't afford to feed them.
This hay costs around 20 dinars. Problems started when production costs began increasing while the milk prices stayed the same because they're fixed by the state.
Milk is one of the products subsidized by the state to help consumers, but today farmers are working at a loss.
Producing a liter of milk costs me 1.8 dinars. I sell it at 1 dinar, so I'm losing money with every liter.
In this region, known for its milk production, Lutfi shows us dairy farms abandoned by their owners.
That was my neighbor's farm. He had 50 cows. Now it's empty. He left for Europe.
This is part of a bigger crisis affecting supermarket shelves across the country. Milk cartons are being rationed because of a production shortage. Wholesalers have also been waiting for weeks for sugar, which needs to be imported.
Here's a spot for sugar, but it's not there. Here there's normally rice, but there is none. Industrial sugar over there, not there. Our problem is because of a sugar shortage. It's also had an impact on cookies, chocolates, juice, soda. Suddenly our turnover is down.
Authorities say the shortage is due to supply delays. Nearly 27,000 tons of sugar were ordered from India and will be sold this week. But ordinary people are feeling the pain because of soaring prices.
I can't fill my shopping bag today. I work as a cleaner. I had to borrow money from my boss to do the groceries.
The government also just signed a deal with unions to raise wages by 5% to try and catch up with rising inflation.
Problems being echoed around the globe, Tom.
Absolutely a recurrent theme there. Thank you very much indeed, our business editor, Kate Moody. Thank you.